A train derailed in Orono earlier today. Orono fire crews responded just after 4:30 this afternoon to the tracks between VZ and the Penobscot Valley Country Club. Officials say 13 of the train's 32 cars derailed, and the exact location of the derailment is still unknown, but crews found the front of the train over a mile north of the Main Street crossing. No injuries have been reported, and officials confirm there are no hazardous leaks or threats to the public. The Maine Department of Environmental Protection is on scene working with CSX on the cleanup. The rail line will remain closed for track repairs and inspections.